What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Long Haul Mentality. And this week, I got my boy Austin Espy on the podcast. What's up, dude? How are you?
How you doing, man? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. We kind of just decided to do this the other day, so it worked out perfect.
Yeah, I saw him at Destination Dallas. I was training there before Nationals. I think it was like
Yeah,
a
it
week
was
or
right before Nationals.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks ago. So,
A couple weeks.
yeah, I mean, we're already in February now. It's crazy to think the Nationals was that long ago.
Crazy.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long ago. And now it's like, what, almost 8 weeks?
Yeah, taxes are due.
Yeah, God, don't remind me.
My sweet.
I got to go through my QuickBooks and do all that shit for my people before long.
Literally.
Worst time of the year. But anyways, so we are going to discuss today. Austin is not only a classic physique competitor, but is also like a very good coach. Someone that I look to as far as like inspiration in the coaching world, and has been crushing it with his athletes and gaining a big following, not only as an athlete but as a coach. So we wanted to have a discussion about like what it takes in order for him to maintain the correct mental space for him to be able to coach at a high level and to be an athlete himself. So what how have you been able to balance that? Like, to be completely honest, like we were talking about that a little bit before this, and I quit competing because I wasn't going to get to the Olympia, and there was things that I needed to do to kind of get away from it, and trying to juggle both was a difficult aspect. So how have you been able to maintain that?
Well, I think part of it, like the biggest thing is just admitting to yourself whether you think you can do it or not. Like I think that's the biggest thing, is like what you just said. And that was something I struggled with as well because, you know, I've I have a so I feel like a lot of people these days, and I'm saying this because it's what I experience, but it's different in every single, like, from different perspectives. But I feel like people get into the sport now and it's backwards. It's like they're on social media and then they find bodybuilding on social media and they feel like it's for them, when I feel like a lot of people from when I was coming up and even like you were coming up, because I know we're not the same age, but it's not a huge gap. So it's like I feel like we have similar stories for people who were coming up around that time, because social media wasn't really Instagram was a thing, but it was only for like Bradley Martin and, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like real. It was like post a selfie with those terrible white bars around the edges. You know what I mean? And like it was just one of those things. And I don't know. I feel like I just loved lifting weights so much. Like I
Mhm.
was just like, oh, dude, I can't not. I was going like 2, 3 times like a day to the gym. Like I get excited talking about it because like I overtrained so bad for the first like 2 or 3 years, and I don't know. I think yeah, and I think I don't know. The first step in that is just like, and I think the first step in every big decision you make should be like, is this gonna even be worth it in the end? Like, can I even finish this? Is this something that I think I can go through even if it gets super hard? Like, that's, you really have to ask yourself that. Not even like if you're trying to balance both, even if you just want to do one, because like you said, man, like it's hard doing both, but they're both like really hard feats to
Mhm.
like conquer, right? And like get better at. Dude, like being a bodybuilder is in my opinion the hardest sport. It's 24/7 discipline if you want to be great. And obviously it's like work as hard as you want for whatever you want out of it. But like if you want to be great, everybody else is doing exactly what you're doing and more. So
Yep.
just like it's a constant mind game. And then you have coaching, which is also the same kind of thing. It's a competition. You want to beat the rest of the coaches, but I've never looked at it like that. Honestly, I've looked at it like if I can bring my people in, all right. I think the way I kind of looked at it is I've gotten better each year.
Right.
And this year was different for me because I got a lot better this last year at coaching, but I know next year, I know how much I had to sacrifice from my career as a bodybuilder to get to the point I was at last year as being a coach. And I didn't even get to where I wanted to be last year being a coach. I didn't hit my goals. So how much more am I going to have to sacrifice from bodybuilding in 2025 to get me that extra 5, 10%, to get me those pro cards at nationals? We were talking about stuff like that. Like that's like a real conversation that I've been struggling with in my head for the last 2 months since nationals. And I'm like, dude, I like love both. Like I truly love both.
Right.
So I don't think I've told anybody this, but to be transparent, I completely just like I'm not coached by anybody right now. I decided to leave what I was doing and just completely do my own thing because I just needed to clear my head of any bias in any way, shape, or form in my life. And I actually took a step away from the sport for like a month or two. Like I haven't really told anybody this. Like I was still like when I went to the gym, I was still very serious. But to be honest with you, there was more weeks often than not that I was like, wow, I only went twice. That's okay.
Yep.
Like that's
Yep.
crazy to me because like in the past, if I missed one of my two sessions every day, I felt like I was missing out on everything. So it just
Yeah.
shows you how like there's seasons with it, and it is something
100%.
I struggle with that question. And I've there's people that I look up to too that do both. Like Alex Toplin is my old boss. If you want to be technical about it, I used to work under Team Reform as a coach. Great experience, great team. Alex is an amazing coach, but I think I think he's going through exactly what I'm going through in a year if I don't figure it out now. And I'm saying that out of all respect because I want everybody to go watch his story and watch his video. But that's what happens when you push way too hard for too long, mentally, physically. Like, dude, Alex
Yep.
is a workhorse. Like, like you can say what you want. People say he has clickbaity stuff, but dude, you watch his videos. People work with him, and he gets results. Like, I have mad respect for somebody who just like does it like that and just
Oh,
fucking says
completely agree.
something and does it.
And
So
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because like before, like after I had made the decision of like, am I going to continue to compete or not? It kind of went through the same thing of like, I didn't want to do the stuff. I didn't want to eat the meals. I didn't want to do the training. I didn't want to take my supplements. I didn't want to do any of it. And like the thing is like, what I don't think people realize is that I've been doing this for 13, 14 years, right? Like with minimal breaks here and there, and I'd go on vacations and whatnot. But like every time I'd go on those vacations, I'd be like, all right, I'm ready to get back to my routine. I'd be doing the same thing.
yeah,
And I think we as bodybuilders, because it is a 24/7 thing, and anytime you do kind of have to pull back, you feel like people are going to slingshot ahead of you, especially someone at your level who's like trying to win a pro show to get the Olympia. There's all these like young, hungry people who are coming up who are like ready to take that spot
bro,
as soon as you let off the gas.
it's a
And
lot.
I
It's a
think
lot
that
right now.
yeah, 100%, man, and it's
It's
growing.
a
It's
lot. I'll
great.
be honest. It's a lot right now. I'll talk to you about it in a minute. But
Yeah, for
fuck.
sure.
So you're hitting the nail on the
Nailed.
head with that one.
And I think that, and this is kind of a conversation that Hunter and I had when we did our podcast the other week. Is like, I think that us as bodybuilders don't allow ourselves the grace to realize that we are human, right? To realize that, like, hey, there's only so much you can do before things start to fall the fuck apart, and it's
Yeah, but
okay for you to do a little bit less
yeah,
and
that's
allow yourself to not be okay for a bit. You know what I'm saying? And like that goes with a lot of aspects of life. It's like I think whenever we get in a bad headspace and you're like maybe dealing with some depression or whatever it is you want to call it, people don't give themselves enough grace on that thing and they just want to flog themselves, which makes it even worse, right? When it's like, hey, I don't feel great right now and I need to do something completely different and just not be what I normally am in order
yeah,
to appreciate that stuff again. It's like the old saying of like distance makes the heart grow fonder, something along those lines. And it's like sometimes in order to really appreciate something you have to have time away from it. You have to like separate yourself from it. So,
that's
how
so
are you
true.
feeling like on the like? Are you getting back in the gym and stuff now?
Yeah, dude. It's actually. I'll be honest with you. It's been an insane last 2-3 weeks. So, yeah. So after, to be completely transparent, I'll kind of break it down. So this whole year, it was kind of like just like adding up, so to speak, and so back it up. I've been coaching seriously for years, but you know how it is, the track getting traction and everything. When it kind of happens, it just kind of happens, and then it's up to you whether you stay relevant or not.
Yep.
Like it's up to you whether you want to balance the workload and actually keep giving every client the same, respect they deserve and time that they deserve, or if you want to be one of the people who dies off because the attention gets less, the attention to detail gets less, sorry, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like up to you to keep it going. But to get to that point, yeah, it takes years. So I mean, you probably coached for 2, 3, 4 years before you even had a consistent roster that you could even be like, wow, I feel comfortable actually trying to live kind of off that. Like that's like a
Yeah.
real thing. And
Yeah.
that's a scary step. And it took me doing that 3 times until I actually made it work. Like it took me trying to make that I literally quit my last job 3 times before it actually worked. So people who think it's easy, that was 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And it's harder now. So if you think it's going to be easy, like that's people don't understand. But you have all the stress of being an athlete, right? Which is a whole different story for another time. And you can imagine like the dieting, like wondering if you're training hard enough. Like, I got third at my pro debut, which was awesome. But like literally the Steve Weinberger literally said that if my waist was tighter, I had a chance of winning that show and going to the Olympia, like my fucking pro debut. Like literally, he said I had a chance. He didn't say I was going to win if I had a tighter waist. I want to put that out there because it's,
Just
everybody takes these things.
dangling that carrot in front of you.
But like, and I totally agree with him. I think if anybody can look at my Chicago Pro pictures, that was just absolutely insane. And I
Yes,
think
it
if I
was.
didn't have to, if I was if I was peaking for that show, I would have won that show and gone to the Olympia. I'm going to put my name on that. That's if I would have peaked for Chicago and not gone 2 weeks early to my first show before I was truly ready. I can full heartedly say I would have won that show, 100%. I
Yeah.
could have messed up my peak and won that show. That's
Yeah,
all.
and that's the thing about like competing itself is like it's the timing has to be perfect. And
Yeah,
people don't put enough value into that, and like they see somebody come like a little bit off and they're like, "Oh, he's fucked up." And it's like, "Well, you do
yeah.
realize that like nobody like look at every single one of the top guys. Every single one of them
Oh, yeah,
has multiple shows where they've missed. If the best people in the world miss shows, everyone is going to miss a show here or there, right? Like
exactly,
to be
exactly.
completely honest, like I missed with Blake earlier this year, and like Blake's a freak of nature, and he got second at the show, and the guy that beat him like should have beaten him, and the guy was definitely tighter and those different kinds of things, but like I was going in the show going, this is going to be a breeze, but we had a lot of problems on not just on my end, but we had problems on his end as well that caused things to go that direction. So like again, people just want to jump down competitors' throats as soon as they miss one time, and it's like, hey guys, like
Yeah.
I'm human, shit happens, and like we
Exactly.
missed up some variables, and it's not always going to be perfect.
Like
And
if people don't understand, like if you actually back up and you take a look at what we're doing, it's like actually insane. Like you're taking like millions of variables and
yep,
you're bringing them down to like a few thousand controllable variables because
yep,
there's a thousands of variables we can't control
hmm,
anyway. So it's like we're taking millions and we're trying to condense them into a few thousand that we can control by adjusting 20 things, and then you want it to all go well on a certain day at a certain time if the show gets ran right. So I mean, like, bro, so for somebody to expect somebody to not come in every single time correct, like 100%, it's just so silly.
yep,
Even Honda Rambot has admitted that he's missed. Like
yeah.
it's, I mean, I think his miss is a lot different than everybody else's miss, but it's like,
His miss
you
is
know,
still an
hey,
Olympia win,
first to second, or first to third or second to third, that's a
right?
huge deal. That is a miss in his
At that
opinion.
level for sure. And I still train a couple people in person, and like this is going to be the last year that I'm doing that. But the people that I train in person, like I have one competitor and then I have another guy who's just a lifestyle client, and he'll ask me questions sometime about coaching and how I dial clients in, and I'll start to explain some things of like water manipulation or sodium changes or this, that, and the other. There goes my light. And he'll look at me and be like, "Oh my god, like how do you handle all that?" I'm like, just the job, And like
Love it. Love it.
until I talk to somebody about it who doesn't know anything about it, I don't really realize like how ridiculous it is what we even do, And like there are so many different variables to juggle, and like the thing that I don't think people truly understand is like the stress of being an athlete and the stress of being the coach, right? Like, and you in that position, having been like trying to win pro shows to go to the Olympia, and then also working with athletes at a higher level, you've been on both sides, so you understand how quickly the stress of either one of those positions can completely mess with what you're doing, and
Oh,
completely kind of throw things off.
to be honest, man, like my whole the people literally ask because I had a pretty big jump in like like, I appreciate your introduction and everything, but I want to just like, I don't think I'm a super high level coach yet. Obviously, like I still need to get more pro cards and everything. And I mean, I haven't even gotten a pro cards. I just need to
I
get a
haven't
pro
either.
card, get more pro cards, and then I consider myself like, we all have that like standard, but
All right, I'm
I
there.
appreciate that. But like, I think the thing is this, right? There's there's coaches who, and I'm not bagging on anybody or anything like that. It's just me being honest. Like there's coaches that learn from coaches who don't know the science, and they use regurgitated information that works for the majority of people. And then there's people who might spend a little more time, a little bit more money to learn really niche, deep science that other people might not know.
Yep.
And that's what I've tried to do the last 2 years by like working with really niche people that teach these things. And it's like really opened my mind, like just how simple the actual process is when I don't know everything, but when you know more about it, it's
Yep.
so much easier looking at it because you're like, holy shit, like all I have to do is this and I'll get that. But
Yep.
like looking at it when you have regurgitated information that you've learned, you're like, wait, so why did we adjust potassium for that guy? Because like I don't actually know why I'm doing it. Why did we do that? I'm going to try it with this guy, but he might actually already be flushing too much, and now he's going to be flat. So
Yep.
it's like it's just one of those things where it just comes down to like trial and error, but it also comes down to having the opportunity to work with the clients like at a certain level, like having those clients even inquire with you, like because that's a whole different thing. Is people think just because somebody's a good competitor that they're a coach and they can do the same.
Don't
And
get
I'm
me
like,
started on that one.
I'm the very rare case of that. Like, I feel like I'm very rare case of somebody who actually like cares enough to learn the science as a
No,
competitor. And I'm not saying there's not people out there like that, but
I
like,
mean, like to be completely honest with you, like obviously you and I both know a lot of competitors and stuff, and like most of the time, our competitor friends are coaches, right?
yes,
But they're typically just coaching like lifestyle people. Maybe they have a couple bodybuilders here and there, but
that's
like,
awesome. I think
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Like,
it
there's nothing
is.
wrong with that.
But
But like,
they're
there's a
more
difference,
using it as an opportunity to just make some money during that time
right?
where like
Yeah.
they're not quite at the level where they can make money just from their bodybuilding yet, right? And it's not like they are like you or I were like when you're done competing you're still going to be coaching and really pushing this thing and trying to get higher and higher. And like me being on the other side of competing, like that's my whole goal is to establish myself as a higher level coach. And the other point I was going to make is like you and I are coming up in a generation where like people believe that they can just become a coach for some quick money, and the very fast reality that I think a lot of people face is like one, it's not that fucking easy. Like it's not that easy to have people accept you as an expert and want to give you their money. Like you can confuse
No.
people and convince them for a short period of time, but do that over years and it's going to get a lot more difficult. And then, like you said, like if I could show people my bank account without being a dickhead and go, look, this is all the money that I spent in the last 2 years just to get to where I am, like you would
Oh yeah.
be, you would be like,
Yeah.
holy shit, how much? Like,
Yeah. My favorite one was when, and this is like being super humble, but like I was, I was talking to my clients, and in my group chat, I have an open group chat where people can message, and some coaches like that, some people don't. I don't care.
I love
I
it.
don't care to talk about it. I think community is great, but this was like a year and a half ago, like a year ago when I was really cranking. I had like 85 people or something, and it was like it was a big workload, and I didn't really have a bunch going on. Like I was just really in a good, how you get those like strides and you're like, you can just handle the higher workload and you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to run with this. Like I'm saving a good amount of money. I have this money to invest back into my education. I was working with Don Kuza a bunch at the time. And it was just like, I was doing courses by him and I was also doing one-on-one calls while I was doing the courses. And dude, like I feel like I learned like 5 years worth of information in like 3 months.
Yep.
And I just hit that stride for like a while, and I mean, I literally dropped over like 20, 23, $24,000 or something like that last year into education just from like private mentors and
Yep.
stuff. And that was just on education for like myself being a coach. That wasn't for like building my business or anything. That was literally just for education for myself. And then I ended up hiring like a business coach towards the end of the year. That was a good idea just to help with back end stuff and everything like that. But
Right.
I think the biggest thing is, coming back to the original question, because I love that question about how do you balance both, is I think balance is something that you don't ever achieve. I think it's something that it's balance. Like that's literally the definition of it. You're trying to literally keep things going while you're trying to take on more and
Right.
live life and try to help people reach their goals and reach your goals. So it's like, it's just balance. It's a never ending thing. Right.
Yep.
And I think people confuse that a lot, and they think that it's like this end goal where you're so happy waking up every morning and you feel the same way every morning, when in reality, especially as a bodybuilder, pushing a lot of food, pushing a lot of drugs, training really hard, you're probably not going to have very many consistent days, but you're expected to be very consistent,
Yep.
if that makes any sense. So
100%.
you're expected to be, like Jay Cutler says, live in a box. You're expected to be like that, but you have every reason from all these variables that you should feel shitty and worse every day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's kind of the way I look at it, is you got to figure out if you even want to do it. Like we are talking about it first. I think you need to figure out if you're truly going to be like a higher level coach and, really get into it. Cause it's a whole different thing if you want to truly be like putting people on stage. And it's just a lot of decisions, man. And it's a lot of like, and it sounds weird because usually when you're in that moment, it's more of like a moment of disparity for most people. Is it's like, they're like, oh, I need something else because my 9 to 5 isn't working anymore. Or like, I need some quick money because I'm trying to do this show and I can't afford it. And I know this because that's how I started.
Yep.
It was a supplement for my career as a bodybuilder, but now my bodybuilding career is like advertising for my main career, which is coaching. I feel like that's literally what I feel like.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So it's just weird, if everything's so backwards from how I thought it was going to go. Because like in the first place, I thought I was just going to be able to live off sponsors and be good, but that's definitely not how it works.
Yeah,
At
right. Yeah,
least
I
in my,
mean, like I said, it's like most of our friends are coaches and stuff, and like that's where they're making it's like it's almost a side hustle. Like I don't want to. Again, I'm not trying to put anyone down because like all of our friends who do coaching are good coaches, but like
coaches.
you don't see them putting people on the national stage and getting pro cards and turning pro and all doing all these different things like you or I are, right? And again, that doesn't make them a better or worse coach than us just because of the type of people that they work with. But like a specific friend, for example, I won't name him just to not put him out there, but he's been like on the come up as a pro and really like killing himself to make his name as an athlete, and then at the same time is also like struggling to handle the roster that he's dealing with. And we kind of had some conversations about that, and he's like, my clients just don't understand like what it takes for me to be a high level pro. And it's like, well, have you addressed that with him? Have you had that conversation with these guys and made it blatantly obvious that, hey, look, like, yes, my job is coaching, but at the same time, like, my biggest focus is my current bodybuilding look and like me building myself as a bodybuilder. And it was like, yeah, I'd kind of touched on it, but it's like that needs to be the first thing that you address them with is like, look, I have set hours. I have set days that I work, and you need to stick with them. Like, you need to stick within those parameters, and like don't blow me up over this stuff, because like I think a lot of people just don't realize that when they hire somebody who is more focused on their look on stage, you are not going to be the front runner, right?
Nope.
You are
Nope.
not going to like if the coaching is more of a side hustle and they're just paying some bills that way, and they're still hard focused on them building their physique, they are in a selfish mindset. I've been there. You've been there. Anyone who has competed has been in that selfish space before, and just the unfortunate reality of it is like you're not going to be a priority all the time, and that person's going to have to set aside time for themselves because it's what they need to do in order for them to still be able to do this at the high level. So people need to understand that like just because you paid for that service doesn't mean that that is now a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day a year access to this individual where they are your chat GPT and you can ask them all the fucking questions you want. It's like
Right.
if you want that, first off, I don't know too many coaches that are going to give you that type of access. But
Nope.
second, you need to go to someone who is just coaching full time and doing that stuff like 100%. And just to back it up a little bit, because you touched on something that I really want to make a point of, is you talked about the community and you have a chat group with your clients. And it's something that I've stressed to a number of different people is like, look, man, you've got X number of people who are working with you, right? And they're all just kind of out in limbo doing their own thing. And you are their one main access point to everything that they need bodybuilding wise. Put those people in a fucking room together and let them interact
Yeah.
with each other. Because at the end of the day, like the best way to like not only get more clients, but to keep clients you already have is to create a community around those individuals, right? And the people that I have that are on my roster who have made friends with other people that I am coaching are those people who are going to be with me until they just decide that they're done doing it, period.
And
Right?
guess what? They do better. They actually do better on stage too.
100%.
Because they have that community. I've seen it every single time somebody gets invested in the community, at least until their show, they're 100% committed. After the show, some people, if it's their first show, they can have problems. I already know
Right.
how that is. But it's like they at least get through their first show. And dude,
Yep.
I was having such a problem 2-3 years ago just getting people through their first prep. I was like, dude, I have this really good person. They're stepping on stage in a couple months, drops out a month out. And I'm like, fuck, dude, like I thought that was gonna be my guy. And then I was like, two months later, somebody hits me up, same thing. And I'm like, bro, I'm just getting shit on. Like I'm just
Yep.
getting shit on by these people. And then that's when I realized that I wasn't asking for enough. I wasn't setting boundaries enough, and all these,
Right.
how it is. You learn all these little things, but that was so important because
For
that's
sure.
something he understands.
And the thing that like people don't understand is like by giving those people a community of other individuals besides just yourself, it takes a lot of weight off your shoulders, right? There's been so many times that somebody has sent me a question and go, I don't have the answer to that. Send it to the community group. And they go on there, ask a question, and then they've got it answered 30 different ways, right? And it's like, this is why we do this. This is the whole purpose of this. And like, I don't know about you, but like I got really involved with fitness when I started making a lot of friends who were in fitness.
Oh,
And like
100%.
one of
Yeah.
the most fun parts about going to different shows and stuff is being around people who are like-minded. Like it's such a blast to me when nationals, like I love having nationals here in Texas. It's like in my backyard. And then all these coaches that I get to see, like I chat with online, we all get to hang out and I get to see you guys and see you in person. We get to shoot the shit and like just talk through all these different things. And that is the most fun stuff to me. It's like when Texas Pro is here, we have all the pros in town. We have like,
it's like talk to people who do the same shit you love doing.
Yep.
And that's like, to us, that's rare because nobody likes just learning about water manipulation and how to grow
Right.
muscles. Nobody likes that anymore. So it's like, it's crazy when you have a whole room full of those people. It's like super euphoric. I very much look forward to those times, to be honest with you. I do.
Yep. And so with like, I think you kind of already answered this, but I'll ask the question anyways, just to make it very obvious. But like, did you notice a big shift in your workload or whatever it is you want to call it when you started introducing everybody to that group, like the community group?
Like, did I notice an increase in like clients?
Like, did you take like, did it take a little bit of extra workload off of you of like
My
stress
philosophy.
of certain things?
Yeah, I look at it from two different lenses. So basically, the way I look at it is the first way, which is from like a business standpoint, right? Like, what's the point of the group chat from a business standpoint? It's for client retention and it's for adherence, right? And it's for progression because people, when they feel like they're part of something that's bigger than them, they feel like they have to contribute, therefore putting more pressure on them without you putting pressure on them. So it's like another way to get client retention, like kind of like a roundabout way to get more client retention, which is awesome. But the reason it gives them client retention at the end of the day is because they're purchasing a product with you either monthly or upfront or something, and they just want to see that that product in some way is bringing them value. So what happens is when they might be on an off season or they might be on a reverse phase that might not be going the way they want because they might be cheating or having problems with food, and they actually need that community, but they feel like they don't need it because they're struggling. That's when you're actually going to get the most client buy-in, is during that phase, because they need those people. And that is a leverage point. I hate to say it, but that's how business works. It's a leverage point
100%.
for client retention. So if somebody is on that downtime where they're on a health phase or on an off season and they might not be pushing a lot of stuff and the daily accolades and the weekly accolades and the progress isn't there, then they can have people to relate to because there's 10 other people who are working with you also in that same spot because they're all getting lab work done or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think
that's the way I look at it.
I think actually adding the community group to my coaching has been one of the biggest things that I've done to increase the perceived value of my
Oh,
coaching. Because, like, look, dude, everyone and their mother these days can provide you with macros, can provide you with the training program, can tell you how to do cardio, and give you a check-in process. And for the most part, for most individuals, that's going to be enough, right? And like, how does that separate you from anyone else? Like, Chat GPT can do all that stuff for you, so why do they need us? But when you
that
start
shit. Well, let's talk about that for a second, dude. I I had a so I'm not even kidding. I tried this the other day. I had a client on board. I bro, I typed in his information and I literally typed it all in and I said I want to gain X amount of weight. These are my stats. These are the exercises I like. It created me a whole fucking
it's
plan.
crazy.
I reviewed it, bro, and I'm like, this would actually work
Yeah.
for a while, and then you'd have to get a new plan. But
Yeah,
like,
right.
if somebody wanted to redo their plan every week, I guess they could check in with themselves and literally
Yeah.
peak their fucking show off of Chat GPT if they didn't
AI
need
is
mental
AI is
guidance.
insane, and like it just the that's a whole nother conversation for us to have. But I think
I just can't trust it because it's regurgitated information again. That's all it
sure,
is.
right,
It's not actually facts. They don't actually know what the facts are because it's
right,
pulling
and
from different open sources.
I think the best place right now with integration of AI is integrating versus like allowing it to take everything over. Right? It's like the people who find a way to use it as a leverage point
Yes,
and use it as things to like cut out some of the extra stuff that you have to do to make things easier to like set everything up
I
is
do
the
it.
better
I
way to
do it
do
with
it.
like
Right?
my email lists. I do it for like my client email list. I'll put it
Yep.
together and I literally just copy a sheet from Google Sheets, import the sheet, and it makes me like because you can't copy and paste off Google Sheets with
Right.
like all the emails. So I put it in there and it makes me a copy and paste one that literally goes right into Google.
Yep.
It's like it does save you a lot of time. So I like that. That's a good idea. Like use
Yep.
it like integration and like help almost like
Exactly.
an assistant, but not like the whole backbone to your
Right.
business. It really fucking fall apart if it
Right.
messes
Yeah.
up.
And like just rely like making all of your coaching decisions based off of Chat GPT is a great way for you to get called out online for sure. But using it as something to like help you with those small tasks, like you were saying, is a massive tool there. But anyways, back to like kind of what we were discussing. The we were talking about the community group, but like the biggest things that I've noticed that has really separated me from other people in our space is one, that community group, and two, like providing feedback on training. Like, because you don't see a lot of people doing that. You don't see a lot of coaches like really meticulously going over people's training and stuff. And I think it is a massive, massive tool that people are missing out on. Now, when like going back to like you being a high level athlete and trying to build um your high level coaching stuff as well, when you are getting ready for a competition, you said that there was like you noticed some things you had to sacrifice for your coaching or whatever. Like, what is it that you notice starts to get in the way the fastest?
Oh, so I guess the biggest thing is when I have a client on prep, it's like I look at them like they're me. Like that's literally how I look at them. Like I'm like, all right, so if I woke up and I sent this message, how would I feel? Like if I woke up and that's how I honestly this sounds crazy and like I know you hear some like super high level coaches like Hani and people like that talk about this, but I straight up take on their emotions for them and it stays in my head all day. So if I wake up and for example, I had a client who had like a super bad shot, like a couple like a week or two out from one of his national shows. And it was just like it was bad. It was really bad. And it was just from like bad stuff. And like he expedited, we figured out a way to get him expedited stuff, all that stuff. And it was just like this, I took that on and I feel like I was affected more by it. Like that's just like how I coach and I can't not do that. So I mean, dude, I've literally had nights where I like I'll lose somebody that's like working with me or like they'll ghost me. And this is stuff that you don't ever think you'll have to deal with because they're like you're really good clients or like they say they're super happy and you end up realizing it's always the people that promise too much and it's always the people
Yep.
that say too much shit that are
Yep.
always the first people to leave. So it's like I love you, like you know. And it's always the people that are like, dude, like this is ride or die until the. It's just like, no, you're the first person to leave.
Yep.
Don't say that. Don't tell me that.
It is so funny that you bring that up because me and
I
Dom had
hear
to
that,
have
I'm like, fuck, not you.
me and Dom had to have that exact same conversation because like in the months of November, December, and January, I've had literally 4 of those people where they were
Yeah,
like, got great results, were doing really good with me, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're leaving to go to somebody else, they're trashing me online, they're blocking me on the internet, those kinds of things. It's like, I don't know what the fuck just happened there, but like, all
yeah.
right, bye.
Like, oh, holy
And
shit.
I think the fact that you take that stuff on and like when a client tells you like something went wrong, like with your client with the shot or somebody leaves you and you take that stuff to heart and like you struggle with it, just shows that you really give a shit about the people who are in front of you. Right. And
Yeah,
like, I'm in, you and I are in the same boat there, and we have very similar thought processes. Like, I think the same exact way. Like,
yeah,
anytime there's a massive problem with the client, especially when we're getting like to the last few weeks of a show, it's like I have the hardest time
yeah.
sleeping.
Yeah, you can't function. It's like because
Right.
it's your you know it's your responsibility, and you know they're trusting you, and you know you're the person that's supposed to have the
Yep.
answers. So that's like, and like I do what I say I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to get you this fucking pro card, then I'm going to do it. It might not be at this
Right.
show, it might not be at next show, but it'll be at one of our fucking shows soon. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's just like, and that's the same thing with like my own career, but. Yeah, man, it's definitely, dude. Yeah, you're so right. The last few months have been crazy. I've seen, and I think this is kind of a message for newer coaches out there who might be struggling with stuff because I had a huge eye opener of a year last year, and I had a whole bunch of emotions with coaching and my own career. My cat's screaming at me, but if you're a newer coach and you feel like you keep either getting people and they keep leaving, or you feel like you can't get people and you just can't get people to even be interested, I'm telling you right now, just keep going because there's people that are going to, be like my cat is freaking out. So sorry.
You're good.
There's going to be people that are going to say that you can't do it. Like, okay, sorry, 1 second. You need to stop.
You're good. I'll pause it. All right. So cat's out of the room now. So all right, back to what you're saying, Austin.
Yeah, sorry. So,
You're good.
um, she's obsessed with me. I love it. She's my daughter, but like,
Yeah.
man. So, no, I think some advice for people who are getting started, because like I've been on that side and I've also been on the side where it's like, whoa, I took on too much. Like there was too much opportunity, which was crazy because I never thought I'd be here. But now I need to take a step back, which we'll talk about in a minute because that was 2024 in a nutshell for me. But um, long story short, if you're getting into it and you feel like it's taking forever, it's going to take forever. I started online coaching in 2019, and then 2020 I was forced to go all online because I was in California, Northern California, you couldn't do shit. Like, you couldn't do anything for the first whole half of the year. So I was forced to do that. So I mean, it worked. Thank the Lord, it worked. It was very hard for like 2 or 3 years, but I saw these people who were like, "Oh, I'm a coach," and I'm like, "Dude, like, how are you a coach? You just did a show. You just started lifting weights like 6 months ago. I've been doing this for 3 years." And I was like, how does this person have this many clients? They say, and I took that to heart what they're saying on their.
Right.
I'm like, you only have 3 spots left. I'm like, fuck. This back when they first started all that. I'm like, you only have 3 spots left, and I'm like, these people are too good to lie because I was just too, you know, I'm too naive.
Naive, right?
It's that naive. And I'm like, damn, dude, these people really have 3 spots left? I'm like, I have like 30. I'm like, dang. And it was just like all these things. And I took everything like a competition, and I took everything like I needed to beat this person. And it wasn't my journey. It was like, it was just like me comparing myself. That's all it was. And that was the same thing for bodybuilding. And dude, I saw a ton of progress because when you're fueled by hate like that, in like a negative place is what's fueling you, you can
For
get a
sure.
long ways until God's like, yo, no, you're gonna stop now
Yeah.
because you learn how to love yourself and love people and do this at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a real
100%.
thing. And that
Yeah,
happened
for
to me
sure.
like a couple times. But long story short, if you're a newer coach, you're getting into it, it's going to feel like it's taking forever because you're building repertoire. Like these people will still see you. They still see you posting. They still see you talking about your clients. they just don't trust you yet. They don't trust you yet because you haven't been doing it long enough. Why would
Yep.
they sign up with you? To be honest, if you're new, why would they sign up with you over somebody like me or Nick who's been doing this for years? If you're just new to it, like that's just being honest.
Yep.
So just stick with it because it's going to feel like it's taking forever. And then right when you feel like you should have given up, that's when it's going to pay off the first time. And it's the same thing over and over again.
For sure.
And it just takes
It's
a long
it's a never ending game. Like it's the same game that bodybuilding is. If like every time you think you're almost there, you realize that like you're not even close, you know, and it's like it's always going to be 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 4 steps forward, 1 step back. Like it's always going to be this ebb and flow back and forth.
oh
And
my gosh.
you know, it's funny because what I don't think most people realize is that I moved to Texas in 2019, and that's when I started personal training. Was 2019, and I
Okay.
didn't really get into online coaching until like 2021, like after COVID. So like, I mean, we're looking at like 3.5, 4 years at this point, and like there's a couple of things that I think I did that got me to that spot where like most of the time when I have these conversations, I think people think I've been coaching for like a decade and I haven't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the reason for that is because like I put, like we talked about in the beginning, I put myself in the right rooms around the right people and picked the right brains
Yeah.
and allowed myself the time to gather experience without telling people I was an expert. Right.
Yeah.
Like I spent those years as an in-person trainer gathering how do I train people? How do I just get really good at training people and just put all of my eggs into that basket. And then once I got like a pretty good handle on that, I was like, okay, I think I'm decent at this. Then I started throwing my hat in the ring with like all of the other aspects of coaching and slowly building my knowledge on that. And I think one of the biggest downfalls that I see with a lot of individuals wanting to get into the space of coaching is as soon as they start posting about I'm a coach, they start telling people that they're an expert. And that's not how this works. You can't tell somebody that you're an authority on this on fitness
You
until
gotta
you
show
have
them.
proven it, right?
Yeah.
And
You gotta show them.
like the people that I have picked up over the last few years who have like either a physique that's going to go pro in the next couple of years or have the potential to win a pro show, like because I have a couple of pros on the team now, that all came from like working with a mom and pop at the gym, right? And like getting them to change. And then I got somebody who was a little bit higher than them, and then so on and so forth. And like this slow ladder up because look, I'm sorry if you're thinking that like some 280-pound mutant is going to be like, I want to work with that kid, but he's never worked with anybody who's near my size, you're completely mistaken. And even the reality of like, I've worked with a number of big people at this point. I've done a lot of stuff with Olympians. I've done a lot of stuff with high level pros. I've done a lot of like, I trained Keon into the 2021 Olympia, right? I was his in person trainer. So like, I've done these things, but that still didn't help me. It still didn't tell people that I'm an expert in this field. They had to see a track record of years of me doing this thing over and over and understanding that I give a shit about my job and like continuing to show up day after day. And like your point of if this is something you really want to do, keep putting a positive attitude forward and showing up whether it is paying off or not, because the only
Yeah.
way that you putting in a positive effort forward towards something you want doesn't pay off is if you quit. If you stop and you throw in the towel and you go, I can't do this anymore, then you're fucking done. Bye, we'll see you, good riddance. Like
And then honestly, let's be straight up too. Like if somebody wants to get this started, like the financial investment really isn't that crazy. Like let's be honest, as a coach, it's really not that crazy. It's more so are they willing to give up the luxurious things to
yep,
be able to get it started? And like if you can't give up like materialistic things for a few years to be able to buy whatever materialistic things you want later on, then like that's fucking crazy to me.
yep,
Like I ate shit for 3 years, literally for like not I think literally, but you know what I mean. For like 3 years, I feel like I didn't even do anything besides buy supplements, like pay for a
bare
coach,
necessities.
laid on my rent, laid on my car bill, killed my credit, and then finally now I'm at a point like 2.5, maybe even 3 years after doing well for a few years, which I never thought I would be here. Now I can actually like I see the flip side and I'm like, holy shit, dude. But like if I had to like if I saw what I had to do going forward, there's no way I would have done everything. I was like, there's no way I have that in me. There's no way I can do this show and lose and come back and do this show and lose and come back and do this show and lose and do all those preps and go through all those coaches and take all those drugs and sacrifice all that time away from my family and have all those relationships that went wrong because of this sport. Like, it's a lot, man. Like
Yep.
looking back, it's like I'm proud of myself. So that's kind of
100%.
what keeps me going with those two things, I guess, to kind of interlock that whole thing is, dude, I've done all that before. If I did all that shit, I can prep people and prep and not and get ready for a show myself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like the biggest thing that like I'm sure you've heard this before as well is like bodybuilding is pretty parallel to life, where it's like you got to just keep showing up because like me, for example, like all the years that I competed, I never won a show, but I kept
Yeah.
showing up. I kept doing the off season. I kept doing the preps. I kept planning for another show. I
I
kept
didn't
doing
know
it.
that, bro.
Huh?
You looked
Yeah.
really good. I'm not gonna lie, I
Yeah.
loved your
Thank you.
look. I loved your look. I
I,
didn't know you didn't have a
honestly,
show.
as far as like my competition stuff is concerned, is like I don't think I was as realistic with myself as I should have been, and like should have picked some smaller shows. I, I think I
You
should,
didn't take
if I
once.
had done some smaller shows, I think I could have done well. But
That's
like
fun.
every time I picked a show, I was like, let's do the next big one. Let's do the next big one. And like I would always just be against these mutants. And like it, it's fine. It's cool. I enjoyed my experiences, and like especially the last few years working with Tuttle, like I think things came together well. And
Oh, you worked with Tuttle?
yeah. Yeah, Tuttle was my coach for like 4 years.
Did you do mentorship under him?
No, under Chris Tuttle?
Yeah.
No,
Dude,
just coaching.
I hit him up. I hit him up like 3 or 4 months ago, and I'm like, "Please tell me you do mentorship." I always message these like high end coaches, and I'm like, "Yo, dude, like, please tell me you do mentorship because I just want to learn more."
It,
And it's
honestly,
like,
like working with Chris and I got really close. Like I was with him for a long time, and like from the jump, me and him hit it off, and he kind of became a mentor without being a mentor. Of like
yeah,
he was kind of there for me during a lot of things in my life, and kind of helped me through that stuff. So we just had a really solid relationship, and even now we have a great relationship. And I still go to him on a relatively regular basis about stuff. And at the end, like I did, like that's a picture from the last show that I did up there, the Texas Classic, which was
that's
the
what I'm talking about. You look crazy. You look fucking. I'm not sure
I
if
have
it's the
one
wide
shot.
angle lens, but you look big, bro. You look
Well, thank
huge in
you.
that.
I appreciate that, but like so that was the last show, and like that was probably the first time that I looked at my physique and was like, oh, like if I put on the weight that I need, like I can do this really well, like, and I could be at a higher level. But we also have to tack on the fact that I have a child, right? I have a 4 year old, and I'm also now 32, right? And I
Yeah,
was 31 or 30 at the time when I did that show, and just the reality of like what it was going to take for me to put on the size I needed to be as big as I needed to be at 6 foot is just I didn't want to, man. And like my body doesn't want to be that big. It
yeah.
265 was a monster for me to be at, and like I'd need to be almost
Heavy.
300 pounds. So
That's heavy as fuck, dude.
that
I don't ever want
combined,
to be 300.
do what?
I don't ever want to be anywhere near 300
Uh,
pounds.
no, me
I
either.
thought I wanted to go open, and I'm like, yo, dude, fuck this. I'm
I
like, I am
float
not.
I float right now between 240 and 250, and I'm very happy there. I'm very comfortable.
That's a
But
solid weight. That's a good weight.
this comes back to like what we were talking about earlier. Is like I came to a crossroads where it was like, look, competing is not going to pay my bills ever. Like if I'm able to go pro, it's going to be by the skin of my fucking teeth, and like that's not going to do anything for me. And I've got a child who's growing up that has to deal with me kind of being a dickhead for multiple months out of the year, and like that's not a great way for him to grow up. And like the legit, for that last show, I didn't see my son for 4 weeks prior to that show. And I remember, man, I'm just going to tear me up now, but I remember picking him up from daycare when I was finally done with that show, and just like I'm trying to grab him and get out of the door because I'm like bawling my eyes out. These teachers are looking at me and stuff like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Like it was
Yeah.
just that reality of like there's
That-
for myself and my personal situation, like there were far more important things that needed my attention, and it took a like it took a lot away from the people that I was working with as far as clients, because like the people closest to you will tell you like I'm not the nicest individual when I'm on prep, and like I've gotten better over the years, but it's still not like I'm never going to be the happy-go-lucky guy when I'm 8 weeks out, 6 weeks out. Like, that's just not going to be me. And it, like you said a little bit earlier, like when a client would check in with you during that time period and they would tell you something, you would take it as if you were them. So I
Yeah.
would like at the level that I was at that time, I was dealing with people who were like first time competitors who had never been on stage, who'd never gone through this like really
Oh,
aggressive pushing and stuff. And
there's a lot.
they'd message me to tell me they had binged on fucking pretzels or some dumb shit, and I would just like lay into them while I'm in the middle of dieting stuff going, look man, I'm doing the same shit you are with all of these extra things that I have to deal with, like get your shit together. And it's like, that's not how you coach. Like
Yeah.
that's not how you be effective and keep people that actually want to stay with you for a long period of time.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely like, so there's like a scarcity type of motivation, and then there's like a it's not trying to scare somebody or like compare something, but it's more of like a comparison, so to speak. So like you have scarcity, which would be like, oh, like you're not doing enough because I'm doing enough, and like that would be like a scarcity thing, like, oh, you're gonna make them like feel like shit about themselves, like they can't ever be you or do what you're doing because you're both doing the same thing and you're not complaining and they are, or something. That would be like a scarcity thing. And then there's like comparison, which is like, in my opinion, what I actually use this a lot because my clients that come to me are like usually like, I would say like 20 to 30 years old, and they are wanting to do this like I'm doing it. And I'm straight up with them and I'm like, I have very good genetics. Like I can't tell what you're gonna look like when we get to where we're gonna be, wherever that is. But if you're still there in a few years, then we'll be the best we can. But like I can't put the puzzle pieces together, for you. And I'll compare a lot. I'll be like, yo, I'm going through the same thing. I say this in a way like I don't tell them like, oh, like I'm going through the same thing, but I'll be like, yo, like, dude, I feel you, like I'm going through it right now too. This is what helps me get through it more. And I'll relate to them like that
Yep.
instead of being like, because if they look up to me a little bit, they're like, oh shit, we're doing the same thing. Like this is,
Yeah.
I gotta keep it awesome. This is cool.
Yeah.
It makes them, I know it sounds weird, but it makes them like excited about it a little
For
bit.
sure.
So that's how I kind of talk like that. But you're right, man. It's that decision. You have to like, I'm either going to coach or I'm going to do the bodybuilding
Mhm.
thing for myself. And I think, at first I definitely fell into that category for like a year or so, where it was like, oh, I'll coach people, and I was lifestyle coaching. It was just a very half-assed coaching experience. And, I think honestly what happened is I just residually knew enough that I put a kid on stage one day, like 4 years ago. And I residually knew enough to where I made the right adjustments with him and he actually looked pretty good. He got like second or third. And then I got two people from that show inquire. And I was like, wait, I've been struggling to get like consistent leads. And ever since I put this kid on stage, maybe if I actually learn all the ins and outs to this, I could actually make a good business out of this.
Mhm.
And the whole point of me even getting started with coaching is because I lost a sponsorship out of nowhere. And it's impossible to rely on anybody else for your money these days. So I was like, I got to make sure I'm good if I want to do the sport. And that's when I started doing it, is because it's like I had a sponsor just drop me out of nowhere. And I was actually doing more sales than I ever was. And I was going into junior USAs, had the most hype I've ever had until like last year, the year before. But
Yep.
it was a great trajectory. People were like, "This kid's gonna go pro." I had all this hype, and then I embarrassed myself on stage because um, I'm not gonna say it was my coach's fault because I don't like saying that because it's like a mutual thing. But I mean, I did what he asked me to do, and it didn't go the way that we wanted to. And I will say, like, I was supposed to question. I was going to question it a couple times during like the week, but I never did. And I just kind of kept my mouth shut and trusted the process. But I wish I would have opened my mouth, because what would have happened if I went pro and when I was 20?
Yeah, for sure.
Like holy shit,
I
that
think
would have been crazy.
I used to always say, like, when I was still competing, like me doing a show was one of my biggest business cards, right? And like every single time I would get ready for a show and like show people that like I can get in shape, get on stage, and regardless of placing, like regardless of where I placed in shows, when people saw what I looked like on stage, I would always get a bunch of inquiries. So like I think that
Yeah,
the fact that you are a pro doing really well and have like a structure that people are drawn to, I think that is like a big calling card, and it does help a ton. So like there are a lot of benefits to like being an athlete while coaching, but I think something that we both said without really saying it is like if you can't learn to compartmentalize those two things and go, cool, I'm going to be the athlete right now and then I'm going to be the coach over here in this moment, like
Yeah.
you're going to fall apart. And like if you can't learn to juggle those things, um you're going to have a really hard time trying to do both, and one or the other is going to end up having to go. And like at the end of the day, like we don't really see too many high level athletes that are also high level coaches, right? And like John Jewett, I think, is one of the best like examples of that.
Honestly, I think he's the
But
best one. I think he's the best one that there is because I don't know anybody else who is actively or has ever actively coached at a high level while
right,
they it's so hard. It's
but
so hard.
even to his point now is like I don't see John being the main person picking up the clients anymore. He has a whole team that he's built around himself, and he has created this kind of like environment where he doesn't necessarily have to pick up a million different people in order for him to coach, like and make a living. Like he has a team that's built around him. So like as far as like a one-on-one, like the way you and I do things without having like a bunch of other coaches underneath us, there's not too many coaches that are at a high level that are also competing. They may have competed in the past,
Yeah.
but like at some point those things have to go, because as a coach you are going to have to prioritize those individuals who are getting in front of you, especially as you go up in ranks of like I'm going from amateurs trying to turn pro, pros looking to do well at their pro debut, pros looking to win a show to go to the Olympia, and then Olympia and up, right? It's like that stuff's going to scale of like how much those individuals are going to need you. And if you're like, no, I can't come help you right now, I got to make my chicken and rice, they're going to be like, what the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And like I think I hit that point where it was like I had too many I hit that point where honestly, like I had too much workload and I wasn't able to handle it because I handled it. Like I did what I needed to, but I did that and I justified that and I thought it was okay for too long. And then I not, and like people like, I really like the whole like alpha male mentality. Like I really like that. I think there's a place for it, but I think when people say like you need to work your ass off and just shut your emotions off, and I don't think like that's very smart because dude, like I did that for years and it like bottled up until
yep,
last year and then it fucking exploded after
yep.
nationals. I had the worst 2 weeks, bro. Like I literally was so it was a really bad 2 weeks for me. Like I don't really talk about it that
The
much, but
grind mentality idea that you see promoted online is probably one of the like worst things possible for people's mental health, right? Is like because you can always like go back to like what you were talking about when you were bringing up like you were coming up and coaching, and you're sitting here comparing yourself to these other guys going, oh, they only have 3 spots left, or their roster is capped out. Like how is that possible? Without you realizing that they're completely bullshitting. And it's like, well, how many of those people that you see online who are talking about I grind all the time, 24/7, never give up? It's like how many of them are actually doing that, and how many of them are just like typing some shit online hoping that it gets some traction? It's like you don't know what's actually happening unless you follow that person around on a regular basis. So it's like, again,
it's
going back
impossible.
to what we said in the beginning, it is okay to be a human. It is
Yeah.
okay to not be okay and then need to shift things away. And like you've dealt with it for the last month, bro. I was there for like 8 months straight where I was working out twice a week. I'd eat kind of like I would still eat as a bodybuilder, but like when I wanted to have something off, I would. And then like I wasn't doing cardio.
It's
I
like that
wasn't giving a
limbo
shit about
state.
stuff.
It's that limbo state where you're fucking, you feel like shit, and you're like, I don't
Yeah,
know what the goal is. Oh,
bro.
that's the
It
worst.
it took me seeing a video of myself in Florida with my family for Christmas and going, who the fuck is that guy? To realize like, oh, I need to get my shit back in check. And then like since the beginning of the year, it's been a lot. But like I'm not in amazing shape by any means, but like I feel better about myself. My strength is better. My health is better. like I'm doing a better job sticking to my program, and like I'm not living the monk like bodybuilder life, but I'm living close enough to it to where like I can be comfortable with how I look now, right? It's
Yeah.
like I don't
Well,
hate the way I
it's not
look
something
anymore.
you get rid of. You can't just get rid of that. Like you
Right.
can't just say, "Oh, I'm done. I
Right.
don't want to look big. I don't want to feel big. I don't want to feel strong." Like,
Right.
do you know how many bodybuilders? Yeah, that's a whole different story. But do people like retire and then they can't physically stay retired? They can't do it. They can't do it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely difficult. And like, I think I honestly don't feel like I've struggled that hard with like being away from stage, but I think that's also because like I didn't really get that far in the sport. Like I didn't win a bunch of shows. I didn't have a bunch of hype
Yeah,
behind my name as a competitor. I wasn't like going to national. I never stepped on a national stage. I never even won a show. So like for me, it's not like I was that far down the rabbit hole to where like I couldn't pull out of it. So it hasn't, I can't really say it's been that difficult for me. It's honestly been like a really nice switch. But
yeah,
it's definitely difficult when you have made your living off of that and like to step, and that goes with any sport. Like anyone who's done their sport at a high level and steps away from it has like a bit of a struggle point where they're like, oh, like I miss that and I want to do that again. And they try to start something back up. But,
well,
you know,
it
I
goes
think,
from it being in your control to being in other people's control. Your advertising,
yeah,
because, and that's a scary feeling when you're like, "Damn, dude! Like I'm on the off season, or I'm not competing anytime soon. I don't have any direct traction on my page."
yep,
I'm literally hoping that these people do well because if they don't, then nobody knows that I'm even a coach
yep,
because it, bodybuilding is every month. It's a new thing. Nobody cares
right.
after another month.
And the interesting thing that like I don't think I've ever spoken about publicly is like I kind of started with my social media not really posting my physique years ago. Like I would post my updates every once in a while, and like if I would do a show, I would post some stuff and whatnot. But like, go look at my feed, and you're gonna struggle to find a picture of my physique. Like there will be a few, but there's not a lot because I knew that there's a shelf life to that. And if everything I posted was revolved around how I look, when that was done, I was fucked. Right. So
Yeah,
like I'm always wearing baggy shirts and the things that I do. I'm always staying covered up. I'm not taking my shirt off. I'm not flexing. I'm not doing all that stuff on a regular basis that you see most people doing. And like I there's parts of me that wish I'd done more of it because like to be honest, at that time I was planning on competing more. I didn't realize that was going to be my last show. So like there's aspects that was like, yeah, I wish I had done some more stuff with that. But at the same time, I've also now had a seamless transition where people don't look at me and go, well, what happened to you? It's like, nothing. It's just
yeah,
me. Like I don't have to worry about that because I knew that like I was never going to make my name as Nick Bagley, the bodybuilder. Like I'm going to make my name as a coach. And like that's what I want people to see when they come to my page is like this person doesn't give a shit about what they look like. They're worried about the people that they're working with. And I think that's an important thing to kind of go on there is like the only thing you post is how good you look on a regular basis. Like you need to know that there's a shelf life to that. And when you're done with this, you're going to see like you can see even legends of this sport who now struggle to make money because they don't have the physique to post online and get attention anymore. You know, and then we've crossed that hour threshold. So I think we'll get to a point where we'll start to wrap this up here. But I think the biggest takeaways that we have discussed here of like if you're someone who is getting into coaching and bodybuilding, because like that kind of seems to be what most people end up doing these days is they like decide to compete. They do one
yeah,
or a handful of shows, and then next thing you know, they're a coach. They're 20 years old with no experience and like telling people that they're an expert.
yeah,
The thing that you need to learn how to do is compartmentalize those things and have time where you are the athlete and then where you are the coach and separate the like they're almost two completely different personalities and then understand that there is a shelf life to one or the other. And you have to figure out what that is for you. Like, are you going to be someone who is able to make a living with their physique? Or do you need to be realistic with yourself and understand that, like, yes, I can continue to bang my head against the wall and be the best possibly I can and biggest and strongest and whatever, but I should probably have a harder focus on the coaching. And then the second thing is like build a community, build a team. Like I think it's cringy when people are like, oh, Team Bagley, like that's why I didn't name my bodybuilding team that. But
you think it's cringy, but they actually don't. That's the
right,
crazy part, bro. Is it's like they're excited to be part of something that
exactly,
like like that's why they're working with you.
Yep.
You don't look at it like that because you're a builder
Right.
and like, you're somebody who wants to like build things, and it's so important to you what it looks
Right.
like, what it sounds like. But to them, it's just like, oh,
But
that's fucking sick. Yeah, team
the
badly.
the thing to the team stuff is like creating that community and that like again, I hate this thing too, the family aspect. It's like that gets thrown around a lot, but like the more you can make people feel like they are a part of something, the easier time you're going to have being able to handle that whole thing, especially when you're like, if you have that community and you go to your group of people and go, hey guys, look, I'm not mentally okay right now and I need to kind of take a step back, those people that you have supported wholeheartedly are going to support you as well. And you're going to notice reciprocal stuff off of that. So like compartmentalizing
Well,
yourself and realizing what's the most important and creating a community out of the people who do decide to work with you, I think are the two biggest things here that Austin and I have discussed over the last hour.
that's definitely true. I would say it for sure. Those are the two things. And like
Yep.
one last thing about the group chats or like the group aspects is like don't force it. Like you
Right.
can't force something that doesn't, but if you have like usually if you have like 20 plus clients or 30 plus clients, you have some people pulling for, oh, are you going to come to a show? Are you doing a team show? Are you doing a team meetup? Like you'll have these things pop up. And like I'm not saying you have to do a full blown team meetup, which I did that in 2023, and that's a reason. Like I flew, I didn't fly my clients out; they paid for their own plane tickets. But I I got an Airbnb. Like I paid for an Airbnb and like all the food and stuff, and like everybody flew in, and we had like 15, 20 people in Pittsburgh. I don't even live in Pittsburgh. It was just like a trip for me too. But if you wanted to really do something like that's the type of stuff that builds like a legacy for your coaching. So it's
100%.
like you want people to be like, dude, I remember when I was working with Nick, and dude, we did this, or like, 3 years ago, my coach did this for all his clients, or this, and it's like, I want to be able to be like, yo, you did really well on stage, and you had a good experience. Like, wow, that's crazy. So just
Yep.
don't do it for the wrong reasons. Do it for the right reasons, and
Um,
don't just go out there and be like, oh, I want a group chat, because I feel like we all need to get along better, and everybody knows why you're trying to do it. Just be honest about it, and just because you got to really want the right things out of what you're doing, or else nothing will happen.
Yep. And the other aspect to that is like we kind of discussed like people leaving the team. I want to create an environment that when somebody does decide that they need to go to some other coach, that other coach has their fucking hand, like they've got their hands full
Yeah.
trying to make sure that individual has a good experience with their coaching because of everything that I did for those people. And like maybe it's not what that individual needed because obviously they left, but like maybe they go over there and go, well, this person's not doing X, Y, and Z, and I really like that aspect about coaching. And then that to me is a win. Like if you step away and realize that like, oh, you had it pretty good and the grass wasn't greener on the other side, to me, like I think that's a pretty big
Well,
cap in the feather,
the
But
flip side to that too is also when somebody inquires with you, and it was the opposite way,
yeah,
and they get a better experience with you. But I'll just leave it there. That's also a
yeah,
good feeling.
100%,
I
100%.
actually, I don't just send you a message with your meals. I actually have a Google Sheets.
Yep, yep,
It's
yep,
just like,
for sure,
yeah.
man.
Anyway,
Well, cool. Do you want to like plug your social media and stuff so people can find you?
yeah, it's just my YouTube is like I think it's just at Austin Espy, one word. Just my first and last name, ESPY. And then my Instagram is Austin underscore SB underscore. And yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me on.
if you guys don't follow Austin, definitely make sure you do. One, because like I think for sure next year he's going to be getting to the Olympia. Amazing physique. I love the structure. This isn't just me saying this because we're friends, but like I've before we even met at Heart of Texas, I think like I had already been like kind of watching your stuff and going like this guy's really got something here. Not only is Austin a great athlete, but he's also a really good coach, pumping out some like amazing athletes, and it's been really cool to see everything you've been put out, man. You've been doing a great job. So just want to say that before we sign off here. But appreciate everyone who has checked in and made it this far through the video. If you have made it through this far, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your friends, tell your friends about it. And that is the stuff that's going to help this channel out the most. I've hit the subscriber threshold. Now we got to get the watch hour threshold. So hang in there with me. Go watch some other videos, and we'll see you guys next week.